I have a question too, just about understanding China and its
Mm,
relationship to other countries. Like I think overall, and you can let me know. I think communism is an overall worldview where the state is the savior. You see it manifest itself sort of differently, whether it's the Soviet Union as depicted in Chernobyl, or North Korea, or
mm,
China. A couple years ago, John Cena, who's the
mm.
WWE wrestler. I'm a
Yeah.
big pro wrestling fan, by the way, so I kind of, I might have watched a few of his matches, but he kind of became a movie star, and he was doing a world tour for one of the Fast and Furious movies. And
Mm,
in it, one of his tours, he called Taiwan a country. He later had to do a video. Well, he did a video. He didn't have to do it. He chose to do it, saying that I love and respect China and the Chinese people, and I am very sorry for my mistake. And his mistake was identifying Taiwan as a country, which, I mean, I don't know. I was kind of baffled by that because, I mean, John Cena, I've always saw him as like a very pro-America, pro-support the troops. So I
yeah.
could just tell there's something underlying that I think maybe explain defines the Chinese government. I don't know. From your
Yeah.
perspective, like, did you have when you saw did you see that happen, or what's your opinion on that, on his response, and what does that say about the Chinese Communist Party?
I think it says more about what's happening in America, the moral decay of American minds.
Yeah,
And it's a, I mean, of course, like that's why I also wrote my book. In my book, I talk about how I met all these movers and shakers, and then people talk about the Black Lives Matter and slavery is wrong, and racism. All of those people, I've been asking them like, this actually true horror is happening that you can actually make a difference on,
yeah,
right? Everybody's saying if the Holocaust was happening, I was alive at the time, I would have saved Anna Frank.
yeah.
I would have been different. And I'm telling them, yeah, it's happening right now. Well, what are you doing? And they're
Hmm.
all trying to make money. So, of course, that was completely disgracing this man who grew up in freedom, who's been benefited by this free democracy, do
Hmm.
not defend this truth and being like bow time to this horrible regime.
Yeah.
But he was not only one, right? Like NBA stars. I mean,
Hmm.
Hollywood, academia, and politicians. I think it's everywhere in America right now. The people who are hijacked, the institutions that were hijacked by Chinese Communist Party,
Yeah.
and will not speak up and stand up and holding Chinese government accountable.
Hmm.
And I think it's a real problem. It's a complete threat to our country, and I think it's very scary because there's no morality. It's nothing matters to these people other than just making some money for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Andrew, I'm gonna let you jump in here a second, but I think I remember it was a while back when they were filming Mulan, the Disney remake of
Mm,
Mulan, and I think there's a camera shot where
mm,
they show the set of the
mm,
movie, and literally in the background, you can
mm,
see basically you don't know if you call it like a concentration camp or a deterrent camp or internment camp, like
mm.
literally in the background. I mean, it's
Yeah,
stunning.
yeah, for the Uyghurs in Xinjiang, and I mean, Disney denounces all sorts of hate, and they say we stand, we go against all the hate and all of those things. But when it comes to China, I mean, they're okay with anything. So the hypocrisy of American mainstream culture, I think that I was not understanding. I did not expect that was happening here.
Yeah.
And now I see that every day more and more, and it's completely heartbreaking.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
Andrew, what's in your mind?
Yeah. What do you think, Yomi, has led to this decline of morality in the United
Mm,
States of America, where it's focused more, people are focused more on money than they would say their neighbor? I would think that in order to truly love your neighbor, you first have to love God. Like when I think about the Ten Commandments, the first table of the commandments is love God, and then what follows is love neighbor. My thought would be that what's happened in our society is that we have people that are fundamentally denying the very foundations
mm,
of what makes other people matter, right? Being
yeah.
made in the image of God, freedom even mattering because it's a right
Mm,
given to us from God. When the Son sets you free, you are free indeed. 1 Corinthians 7 states if you are if you were, when you're called, if you are a slave, set yourself free if you have the opportunity, which I find that's what you did. So praise God for that. You found yourself a slave and set yourself free, and you have a beautiful story that shows God's providence all throughout your life. But what in our nation, which was built on the backs of Puritan faith, is happening so that people are living in America yet denying the very foundations that give us the reason to pursue freedom, life, and the pursuit of happiness? Like what's going on here today that's leading to communism influencing our culture so heavily?
Yeah, I think I had to think about Christianity a lot in the last several years, and especially when my son was born, and that's when I saw a miracle, and
Yeah.
I became a believer. I mean, how can you not after seeing
Yeah.
that, right? But I think that's the thing. It's like if people don't understand that freedom without virtue, it's anarchy. And in America right now, it's anarchy. They say I have a freedom to shooting myself with heroin on the street in New York City, in San Francisco. And well, it's a freedom. They have a right to kill themselves and harming other people. So sort of, right? But I think that virtue came from God.
Mm.
And when you don't believe in God, the danger is that you believe in anything. And that anything is a lot of times is very scary things.
Yeah.
So I will not, assume that if you don't believe in God, you're gonna believe in bad things. That's an automatic assumption. But there is a complete danger to the society when people choose to believe in everything, and that's very scary society to be in. So I think this is where I keep thinking now is that, of course, I support legal immigration in America. As an immigrant myself, I became American like last year. But when Americans keep saying somehow, as this is a slogan, they don't even question, they don't even think. Somehow they keep saying diversity is our strength. And it's scary. Like diversity is, I feel like the commonality, the common value, that's what the strength is. It's not just everybody look different, everybody thinks different, that's gonna be a strength. And I love that diversity of opinions, but there still has the common thing that we choose to believe in, we choose to defend, right? There should be a meaning in that. And when the nation completely divided in what is matter in life, what is important in this country, even this country is important. And I think that's why it is so brilliant on government part. They chose to divide people. In North Korea, they made us not trusting each other, even our moms and our children, because the first thing my mother told me was that birds and mice couldn't hear me. So she told me not even whisper. So when you don't trust each other, what happens? You're gonna trust the government. And that's how they come and control your lives. And I see that every day. Like when I was so amazed when I came to America in the first, it's like how much people were so trusting. Like you get into Uber and you somehow think that just Uber driver is not gonna carry you, right?
Yeah.
You order pizza and then somehow you think that so nobody put like poison in it.
Right.
And society works beautifully when there's a trust. And that trust is getting destroyed every day.
No,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I believe 100%. I think like social media, for example, is a huge blessing. I mean, the fact that now like I could hear you tell your story, and was the Joe Rogan Experience, was that the first interview you ever did on that high a level when you were on there?
Yeah. I have interviewed with Dr. Peterson,
Yeah.
and of course I left before that, and then like I think Joe Rogan interview really made a lot of Americans to hear my story.
Yeah. So So my question would be is that, I mean, you grew up in a communist society where if you said anything outside the confines of what the state wanted you to say, there would be severe consequences. Your life probably would have ended. What does it feel like? What did it feel like to be on Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, to really express yourself on that magnitude for the very first time, really, aside from maybe some social media comments and the YouTube comments, but to express yourself fully without consequence? What did that feel like?
It's amazing. Actually, before that, I spoke at TED and I like the other more like mainstream platforms. I mean, Joe
Hmm.
Rogan is mainstream, but
Yeah.
it's like, TED is a little bit different word.
Hmm.
And and I think it was, I mean, the beginning when I was speaking out, it was a miracle to me that like when people telling me you have a right to criticize your own president. And in the beginning, I was horrified. Like, why would you do that? And I was like, this is a true freedom. You
Yeah.
have right to criticize your own leader,
Yeah.
right? And everybody is equal, especially the governments are the people's servants. We hire
Hmm.
them to fight for our rights. It's not like we work for them. In
Right.
democracy, that is the opposite. Like we are the ones that have all the authority and we hire the politicians to represent our interests.
Hmm.
So for me to understanding that for the first time and somehow you are not gonna get killed even if you criticize your president.
Yeah.
And of course I exercised that right quite many
Hmm.
times now. And it's still shocking to me that this is a norm.
Right.
And where I grew up, like that was not a norm. You literally they come after 8 generations of your family if you criticize your own leader.
Hmm. When you first came to America, and Andrew, I'll let you jump in here for a second. What was just maybe just have some fun here? Like, what was the most surprising thing off the get go? Was it the amount of food? Was it just the diversity of people? What was initially the most culture shock thing coming to America?
It's like, of course, there are millions of culture shocks that I felt, but what shocked me was the abundance of choices that individual get to have.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I associate freedom with choice in the beginning. Like
Hmm.
I went to grocery store, I went to like Walmart in the beginning. That's the first place like they took me when I came to America. And of course, like there's a size of chips, like almost half of my body, like so big, so much food. But when I went to like pick up apple, I mean, there are dozen different apples. Like for me, apple was apple one type. And here there's like the crispy honey gala, like so
Right.
many different types of like apple. I was trying to pick up the toothpaste and there was like mint, whining, completely all in one, like dozens of toothpaste, right?
Yeah.
And then, like, whenever I go to restaurant, it's like in North Korea, I never seen a cookbook because we don't have ingredients to make different types of food. We just put everything whatever we find that day.
Hmm.
And here you have choice to eat that day. It's like different types of food, like fish, meat, vegetable, and pasta. So I was like so overwhelmed. Like,
Hmm.
how do you make a decision? And
Yeah.
and I was seeing my American friends like they were like loving the choices they were
Hmm.
giving. They loved all having all the options. They were not getting overwhelmed by that at all.
Hmm.
And for instance, for me to choose one for me, like whenever I go to restaurant, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't care, just give me something. I like everything. So even ordering food was it took a while, like at least 5 years for me to adjust, and even learning some menu was a work
Hmm.
because I never knew that types of food existed, so I did not even know what they were, so I couldn't even order it.